Welcome, everybody. I'm back. Second live stream today. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. It's about to fill up. More people coming in and joining us. I just tweeted out the link, and yeah, I hope everybody here is already subscribed on the channel, so that way you will not miss out on any future videos. And if you're subscribed for more than 1 year, you will actually be able to comment like this very nice fella here. I guess his name might be Dave, long-term subscriber, investor since IPO, and I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you, guys. His name might be Dave, long-term subscriber, investor since. So I need to do some technical stuff here before we can jump into the management call. Let me just get back to you in a sec. Okay. You should have heard earnings call starting in the background. Let me know if that works quite well. There's always a bit of a technical thing because I need to share the browser screen and the browser sound importantly. No, I haven't shared it yet. Sorry, but let me share it. It's just starting. It's just starting. There we go. So you should have now be able to hear a bit of the conference call. It's just starting in the beginning, lots of blah, blah, blah. It's always a bit boring. Maybe even the CFO statement will not that be much of new information here. But what I can tell you, I've just done my first live stream, and yeah, I talked through the earnings report in that. And what can I say? I'm really happy with the report. It's a really strong report on many metrics, and had some nice surprises as well with a good cash balance, plus also the announcement that CEO William Lee is incentivized to meet some market cap and profitability related metrics. So that's really good. Nokia hacks saying not hearing the conference in the back. I've tuned it down a bit more now. Now you should be hearing it. So from time to time, I mute it out, and then I give you my personal insight and comments about that. Other than that, if they're talking and it's interesting, I will be using the chat function, which again is open to everybody that has been subscribed for more than a year. Okay, guys, you don't hear it, then I need to share it again. Wait a second. You don't miss anything yet because they're just talking the usual stuff. Here we go. Chrome tab. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I need to use Chrome for this one because I can share the audio this way. Now you should be hearing it, right? William 里边说中文，他现在给我们
In
讲
Q4 2025, we
未
delivered
来的进步怎么样。
124,807 smart EVs, achieving a year-over-year increase of 71.7%. Quarterly deliveries for all three brands reached record highs.
Okay, again, so the beginning will be not that great of an insight. Thanks for helping me, guys, with the technicals here. I try my best to handle these calls or live, and sometimes while driving in a ET7 on the road or whatever, I've not missed a single earnings call with you guys. So really glad we still do this all together since all the many years of being invested and following this company. And now we are finally there. It's finally our first profitable quarter. Huge achievement.
182 and 20,797 vehicles respectively. For the first quarter, we expected total deliveries to be between 80,000 and 83,000 vehicles, representing a year-over-year increase of 90.1%.
Yeah, they're just talking about the guidance, which I think came in quite strong, to be honest. So guiding through a March figure of more than 30,000 cars, if that comes in. And again, I mentioned in my previous live stream about the earnings that I think Q1 could also surprise positively. We need to see what they say about R&D spend and so on, for example, which I believe could be still very low in Q1.
Turning to the financial performance. In Q4
the bottom line may
2025,
still be
our
good.
vehicle margin reached 18.1%. The continuous improvement in margins was mainly driven by strong sales growth, a higher mix of high-margin models, and also continued vehicle cost optimization. Meanwhile,
I also
the margin of
still
after-sales
remember
reached
this very,
11.5%,
very well.
supported
Unfortunately,
by the expanding sales
NIO's
and
earnings
improving
calls have
profitability of our
improved
services
tremendously
and
over time.
community-related businesses,
New
as our user
CFOs,
base
English-speaking
continues to grow.
William Lee, and actually taking the calls instead of missing them. So yeah, quite a turbulent times with NIO and covering it. And I also never know what's going to be in those reports. Luckily, this time we got very positive surprises, I think, in this report, but also some open questions still. So I guess this is what this live stream and this management call is now for, that we can actually listen to some analyst questions, which they will ask many questions around how they actually get to the numbers in 2026. Now we got the profitability. We all knew that coming. Well, not everybody, including myself, did believe we get there.
While GAAP operating profit reached 810 million RMB. On the cash flow side, we delivered positive free cash flow for two consecutive quarters and achieved positive operating cash flow for the full year of 2025. This quarterly profitability also further validates the competitiveness of our technology roadmap, products, and business models. It also demonstrates the continued strengthening of our operational capabilities and efficiency, providing a solid foundation for long-term sustainable development.
2025年开始，我们通过蔚来、乐道和萤火虫三大品牌，服务了更广泛的用户群体。三个品牌在各自细分市场。
So that's a cool remark. On the operational cash flow side, they are actually profitable for the full year 2025.
Through the NIO, Onvo, and Firefly brands. The three brands have been well recognized by users in their respective segments.
蔚来品牌方面，全新 ES8 自2025年9月底开启交付以来
，and two quarters now of cash flow positivity consecutively, also very nice. And now on the bottom line, net profit 40 mil, and all of the EPS stuff, all turning break even. That's what we've been waiting for. The only thing that's still lacking is the stock price, but usually that should follow the EPS and profitability metrics. We'll see. We'll find out. Now they will also talk a bit about 2026 profitability. I think Li Bin most likely will reinstate his views that they will do that.
Market momentum since deliveries began at the end of September 2025. In just 160 days, it reached the milestone of 70,000 deliveries, setting a monthly delivery record among vehicles priced above 400,000 RMB. In Q2 this year, we will introduce the NIO ES9, an executive flagship SUV. As a combination of NIO's 11 years of technological innovation and user experience development, the NIO ES9 is equipped with multiple industry-leading technologies, delivering a luxurious executive mobility experience.
Yeah, we will have to talk about these
addition,
upcoming
the
models and the way they're launching it. I think there are
85T,
some
86,
surprises and
will
some ways they
introduce
have
the
planned it, how
2026
I
version
see it
in Q2.
strategically.
Overall, the
But
NIO
of course,
brand
there are
will
question
continue
marks about
strengthening the
how
product
successful
lineup
they
and
can
its
be and how
position in the
sustainable
premium
that
BEV
model
market.
is. Um,
乐道品牌方面 ，L90 自上市以
Onvo
来，
currently
凭
seems
借
to be
革新的
struggling,
产品
but I
体验、
think
卓越的安全性能与
this
优异的
perception
空间
may
表现，
change
获
actually
得大家庭用
starting,
户的高
well,
度认可，
not directly in
成为
April, but
2025 年
maybe
度
towards
纯
the end of
电大型
April,
SUV 的销售榜
where I think a couple
乐
of
道品
things
牌
will happen in
全
the
球
industry
首
and in the
款
market in
双
China
缸超级大
that
幅
will
的
also
SUV
help Onvo
L80
come
将于第二季度
back on their
上市。
feet again.
同时，乐道 L90 和乐道 L60 也将迎来
Now
产
almost
品
back to
布局的换
300
季。
people
随
watching
着
it
产
live.
品布局的持
Please
续
share
深
it,
入，
smash
与
a
新领
like,
域的
that
不断
helps
迭代，
the other
乐
peoples
道
will
品
get
牌
it on
将
their
为更
YouTube
多家庭用户带来高品质
algorithm
的用车体
and
验，
on the
持续
homepage, on
推
the
动
live
销量
stream
稳步
feed.
增长。
For the Onvo brand, its L90 has been very well received by large family users since its launch. Thanks to its innovative experience, outstanding safety performance, and exceptional space design, the Onvo L90 became the best-selling large battery electric SUV in 2025. Next, the Onvo L80, a large 5-seat SUV with front and rear trunks, will be introduced in Q2. At the same time, L90 and L60 will also receive product upgrades and refreshes. With an expanding product lineup and continuous product upgrades, the Onvo brand will deliver the finest mobility experiences to more family users, driving steady sales growth.
永谷城品牌方面，作为2025年正式上市的
Yeah, it will be
全新品牌，
interesting the way
凭
they're
借
upgrading
精准的
and
市场定
launching
位，
new models.
承接领
Again, I
先
think
的
that
产品
might
力
be the
与
main
创新的
talking
用户
point
文
of
创模
this
式，
live
连续
stream and
7个
this
月稳居
earnings
高端
call
消费
today.
市场销冠地位。
Onvo
永谷城
obviously
的
needs to
用户
get
关
back
注
on
度
track.
在更
Then
多
we
的
have
地
the
持续
questions
爬升。
around those new product launches and
The Firefly
how
brand,
are the
officially launched in
implications on
2025,
the
has quickly
finances
established
based on that.
itself thanks to its clear market positioning, class-leading product competitiveness, and innovative
Because
business
right now you've
operation
seen the
model.
R&D costs have
In
been
2025,
scaled back
the
down
Firefly ranked number
because
1
of
in the
a more
high-end
streamlined
sports car
team.
market
Like
for 7
people have been
consecutive
let
months.
go, only
User
focusing on
interest
the
in the
main
Firefly
R&D
continues to grow across
expenses.
more regions.
未
But
来在核心
yeah,
技
in
术
the
领域
future
的
they're
团队
definitely
研
not
发投入
stopping
进入
developing
全面合
new
作阶段。
tech and
我们
R&D,
企业
right?
在全球
So
智
I
慧 500
expect
米
this
高
will
阶自
kind
驾
of
平
find a
台，
middle
整
path
车
over some
全域
time.
导致系统，
But in
坚
Q1,
持
I
智能
guess
底盘
the
和
R&D
智能汽车
expenses will
核
be
心技
still
术，
very
并
low.
实现量产上车。在
And
投入不
this
仅拉
quarter
下
they
了
have been
产
also
品
quite
性
low.
能与体验体验，也带
But
了
I
显
think
著的
it's
技术
quite
能力提
natural
升，
where we are
为
because
公
they
司
have
建
now a
立
mature
长期竞争力
platform,
提供了坚实的基础。
which they keep on selling and not rushing
Our
through
long-term investments
renewing
in core
the
technologies are beginning to bear fruit.
5566 models.
Key
And that's
technologies such
adding
as
to the
the world's
benefits of
first
the bottom line here of the
automotive-grade 5
financials.
nanometer chip for smart driving, the full domain vehicle operating system, and the Skyride intelligent chassis have all achieved mass production. These innovations not only elevate product performance and user experience, but also deliver significant cost advantages. Together, they form a strong foundation for the company's long-term competitiveness.
今年1月下旬，我们向用户推送了未来世界模型的全新版本。在这个版本中，
Hey
我们
Alan,
在
good to
国
see
内
you
在
in the
线
comment
应用完
section.
成
I know you're
了
one
召
of
唤
my
技术的训练
Patreon
范
supporters, and we
通
usually
过
talk
未
day
来
to
世界
day
模型加
in the
智
Patreon
能化学
community, which, by
领
the
先
way,
技
I've
术
put
架
a
构，
link in the
实现
description
全域
of
领
this
航
video and
体
in the
验上的
comments.
显
So
著
if
优
you
化。
want to join,
2月
there's
份，
now also a
作为未
trial
来世界
version
模型全新版
happening,
本
and
推
it's
出后
open
的整
again.
个完成，
To your
我们的
question,
智能辅
I
助
do
驾驶
think
使用场景占
it
比
just needs
相较
to
1月
trigger
份
one
增
of
长了超
those
过 80%。
variables,
随
like
着新
either the
版本的推
profit,
送，
either
全国
the
超
market
过
cap
2,000 个
target
城
being
区
hit,
换电
or
站
if it
支
hits
持
both,
领
then
航
it will
换电功能，
trigger
与
each of
城
these
区领
tranches.
航辅
That's the
助
way
自
I'm
动
reading
连
it.
接，为用户提供行业唯一全自动的无感的家电体验。
In late January this year, we released a new version of New World Model, known as NWM. In this version, we adopted a training paradigm with complete closed-loop reinforcement learning, one of the first implementations of its kind in China. With the advanced architecture of word model and closed-loop reinforcement learning, NWM has significantly enhanced the performance of Navigate on Pilot, or NOP, across all domains. February marks the first full month following the rollout of the new version. During the month, the share of driving time using smart driving increased by more than 80% compared with January. With this update, over 2,000 power swap stations in urban areas now support power swap pilot, seamlessly integrating with urban NOP and offering users the industry's only fully automated recharging experience.
目前，乐道智能驾驶已实现在城区领航辅助、智能泊车辅助及智能安全辅助领域的端到端化体验升级。今年，我们也将对乐道全系产品的智能应用。
Yeah, notice how Li Ben is also changing his tone a little bit on NIO autonomous driving. I read yesterday that he also gave an interview where he talked about in the future NIO cars being able to go to the battery swap stations fully autonomously and swapping the car battery in, let's say, 2 a.m. at night. He's never been this outgoing in the past, but on the other hand, despite those improvements with the NIO World model and so on, it doesn't really get the recognition out there yet that we see, for example, with other companies like XPeng.
15家未来空间，乐道门店数量达420家。服务网络方面，我们已开设了406家服务中心和75家交付中心。2026年，未来乐道、Firefly 萤火虫在深耕重点市场的同时，将联合布局下沉市场。通过3品牌联合的 Sky 门店，对更多地级市进行高效的销售服务网络的覆盖。
On the sales side, we currently operate 171 NIO houses and 395 NIO spaces, while Onwo has 420 stores. For the service network, we have 406 service centers and 75 delivery centers. In 2026, the three brands will continue to strengthen their presence in key markets while expanding into more lower-tier markets through Sky stores, which serve as a shared sales and service stores for all three brands.
充换电网络方面，截至目前，我们全球已经累计布局3815座换电站，累计建成超过28000根超充桩和目的地充电桩。今年2月6日，我们实现了累计提供超1亿次换电服务，此项里程碑标志着换电模式已获得用户与市场的充分规模化验证。在今年春节期间，换电次数连创新高，创下单日突破17.7万次的记录。换电网络是解决车电不同售的体系化创新方案，同时作为储能设施，也正在成为新型电力系统的重要组成部分。长期来看，换电网络的持续布局，在提升电动车用户体验的同时，也将为公司的长期商业成功带来独特且难以复制的竞争优势。
As of now, we have 3,815 power swap stations and more than 28,000 power chargers and destination chargers worldwide. On February 6, 2026, the company reached the milestone of 100 million cumulative swaps, which demonstrates that battery swapping has been widely validated by both users and the market. During the Chinese New Year holiday, our swap volume reached new highs, surpassing 177,000 swaps in a single day. Power swap is a systematic and innovative solution to addressing the mismatched life cycles of vehicles and batteries. Serving also as a form of energy storage, it is increasingly becoming an integral part of the new power system. Over time, the continued expansion of the power swap network will enhance the EV user experience and provide a unique, defensible competitive advantage for the company's long-term success.
全球布局方面，我们在专注深耕中国市场的同时，也将稳步推进全球化布局。目前，萤火虫及其右舵版本已进入。
I'm getting really excited about this conference call again. I hope lots of good topics here to discuss. Battery swapping, yeah, I mean, lots of things happening here. You saw my video with BYD. Now the questions around R&D. I'm going to go into that in a second.
Including its right-hand drive version, is available in 10 countries. In 2026, we will continue to expand overseas through the country distributor model, with Firefly serving as a leading brand.
2026年2月，我们的智驾芯片子公司神基公司完成首轮股船融资协议签署，融资金额22.57亿元人民币，投后估值超80亿元。神基公司的芯片技术、研发能力及商业化前景获得了多家产业资本和行业。
Some people may think this profitability, which by the way is now official, so we can crack a bottle of champagne again if you want, if you like, if you don't want to jinx it. And it's officially profitable, and some say, well, is this structurally profitable, or was this like a one-time effect? I think lots of things are pointing towards that this is structurally profitable, and there are a couple of drivers. For example, I talked about R&D. Now, yes, the build out of battery swap stations has been slower currently, so that's also saving some cost there. The teams have been shrunk in R&D, and we're in a phase of the product cycles where we don't have that much high of a cost for the new models. So I think it's quite natural that these costs are coming down. Plus, what's the real thing for enabling profitability is this SGNA per vehicle sold, which is now at only $4,000. So that's the real decoupling from sales growth and maintaining operational and sales and marketing cost. That meaning showing this is the operational leverage that has now been fully enforced, really. And I expect that some of the costs will come up again in some periods, but overall, if the trajectory holds true, then I think we can expect that going forward, we will, kind of, how to say it, not fall back into those old patterns, burning 500 mil, 900 mil a quarter that we had during the last couple of years, really.
Determined and sustained investments in the 12 full-stack technology domains for smart EVs, ensuring our leadership in both products and technology. In 2026, we will launch 3 new models, further strengthening our product portfolio and expanding our share in the premium large vehicle segment. We will also continue investing in charging and swapping infrastructure, while improving the commercial operations of our infrastructure network. In addition, we will further strengthen our sales and service network, ensuring that our overall system remains resilient in an increasingly competitive market.
2026年，我们继续深化组织变革，不断完善以用户价值创造为核心的基本经营单元机制，打造更高效的全员经营体系，强化成本控制和 ROI 意识，保持用户企业的初心，以更具竞争力的产品与技术、更优质的服务与更稳健的经营业绩，回馈用户、股东及投资者的信任与支持。
In 2026, we will continue to deepen organizational transformation, refine the CBU mechanism centered on user value creation, and strengthen our company-wide business system with heightened ROI awareness and improved cost control. We remain committed to our original aspiration as a user enterprise, delivering more competitive products and technology, better services, and stronger business performance to honor the trust and support of our users, shareholders, and investors.
Thank you, William. Let's now review our key financial results for the fourth quarter of 2025. Our total revenues reached 34.7 billion RMB, up 75.9% year-over-year and 59% quarter-over-quarter. Vehicle sales were 31.6 billion RMB, representing a strong increase of 80.9% year-over-year and 64.6% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter growth were mainly due to increased deliveries and higher average selling price, driven by positive product mix effect. Other sales were 3 billion RMB, up 36.6% year-over-year and 17.5% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year growth was driven by increased sales of used cars, technical R&D services, and sales of parts, accessories, and after-sales vehicle services. While the quarter-over-quarter increase was mainly due to the increase in revenues from technical R&D services and sales of parts, accessories, and after-sales vehicle services. Looking at margins, vehicle margin was 18.1% compared with 13.1% in Q4 last year and 14.7% last quarter. The year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter improvement were driven by positive product mix effect with the wrap-up of higher margin products. Moreover, gross margin from other sales reached a record high of 11.9% during the quarter, reflecting the continuing enhancement in the profitability of our user-based driven service and community-related businesses. With the improvement in both vehicle margin and other sales margin, overall gross margin increased to 17.5% compared with 11.7% in Q4 last year and 13.9% last quarter. With the implementation of sale business unit mechanisms and the progress of organizational optimization, we are seeing a sustained improvement in operational efficiency. R&D expenses were 2 billion RMB, decreased 44.3% year-over-year and 15.3% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year decrease mainly driven by lower personnel costs in R&D functions due to organizational optimization and a decreased design and development costs from different development stages. The quarter-over-quarter decrease was primarily driven by lower personnel costs in R&D functions due to organizational optimization. SGNA expenses were 3.5 billion RMB, decreased 27.5% year-over-year and 15.5% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter decreases were mainly driven by a decrease in personnel and related costs in marketing and other supporting functions as a result of organizational optimization, as well as the decrease in sales and marketing activities. In the fourth quarter, we achieved an important milestone, our first ever quarterly profit. Profit from operations was 0.8 billion RMB, compared with loss from operations of 6 billion RMB in Q4 last year.
Yeah, right now it's just the CFO going through all of the stuff that we already know from the earnings report. If you watched my first live stream, you know all of the specifics in here already. So I'm quickly going through this one question that NIO is taking over some of the subsidies that are now missing and maybe helping car buyers or incentivizing them. Overall, I think, yes, we will see lower margins in Q1, possibly. That's very natural due to the lower volumes in general that in the weak quarters are natural, but they still focus so much on the ES8, which is this high average sales price plus high margin vehicle that they can possibly afford it. Plus, I think the cost side will be quite low. So not saying we get another profitable quarter in Q1, that might be too much, but I think most people have in mind that, oh, sales go off a cliff, it will be a terrible quarter. I think that's not necessarily the case, to be honest.
Please refer to our earnings press release. Now I will turn the call over to
now finally the analyst question.
Start our
fingers crossed for some good ones today.
Operator.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, please limit yourself to 2 questions. And if you have additional questions, you can re-enter the queue. Your first question comes from Tim Zhao with Morgan Stanley.
Hi, management team. This is Tim from Morgan Stanley. Thanks for taking my questions and congratulations for achieving the first ever quarterly profitability. I have 2 questions. The first question is about the product and volume sales growth target. Because during the call, I think William just mentioned he is going to launch ES8 5 Series and the 6 Series facelift in L80 in second quarter. So what's our plan for second half could we have a quick update on the model pipeline for second half? And separately, given the challenging auto industry backdrop, is NIO still maintaining annual volume growth target of 40% to 50% this year? That's my first question. Thank you.
好，谢谢 Tim。确实，今年一季度总体的市场还是非常有挑战的。我们也这个行业的这个数字也看到了。我们总体上认为，今年
As predicted, the first question already about the volume targets 2026, whether or not they're gonna hit those targets and how they're gonna achieve them amidst very challenging environment. I can talk more about this later, or make also separate video on that. But I think NIO has a very specific model launch timeline that I think caters into what's happening this year in the market. And the fact that there are updating or waiting so long for the update of the old models is also quite interesting. Maybe a bit of leapfrogging technology-wise happening there. Plus, we also needed thinking it through with battery swapping and the next generation, what's coming.
Thank you for the question. It's true that the entire industry has encountered challenges in the first quarter of this year, as a lot of the industry numbers and data have already shown the market and the environment. For this year, we also believe that the size of the Chinese passenger vehicle market will also see a slight decline from last year. But within the China's passenger vehicle market, we believe that the penetration rate of the new energy vehicles will continue to grow. And among the new energy vehicles, battery electric vehicle will see a stronger growing momentum. Actually, last year, the increase of the new energy vehicle market as whole is largely driven by the increase of the BEV models. The penetration rate of BEV increased by 26% to 33%. This is largely driven by the BEV models. And as technology and infrastructure network continue to mature, we believe that the BEV market or segment will maintain the strong momentum also this year.
特别要强调的是，在高端市场。
Yeah, just a reminder, do you still speak about Li Auto? I remember, like, let's say 1 year ago, I always kept being asked about those range extended vehicles. Nobody is talking about them anymore, I guess. So Li Bin is right here to mention how the NEV segment of the market will be the most important one going forward. I agree. Now we've got even more reason with what's happening with oil in Iran, right? So who's positioned there well will take the market.
And also more specifically for the BEV segment, we also see a good potential within the premium segment, as the perception and the awareness on the premium battery electric vehicle model has already established in that segment. The penetration will also be growing, driven by that. For all the vehicles priced above 300,000 RMB, we actually see an increase of a BEV penetration of 58% year over year. Well, for the RIV model, the penetration within that price segment actually decreased by 4%. And the overall BEV penetration in the premium segment also increased from only 14% in Q4 2024 to 27% in Q4 2025.
其中呢，大三排和大五座 SUV 的市场呢，确实是迎来了纯电的黄金时代。25年9月以来呢，纯电大三排销量连续5个月领跑所有的。
Still, I believe there will be more questions to Li Bin about Onvo specifically. I think everybody agrees that NIO is doing a quite good job in the premium segment, and that battery swapping is well accepted there. But for Onvo, obviously there are question marks right now. So that's also important, the mass market segment, how to get there, how to spread it out more, and what happens in the future.
And more specifically on the large 3-row battery electric SUVs, as well as the large 5-seater battery electric SUVs, we also see a strong momentum last year. Since September last year, the large 3-row battery electric SUV model has been leading the segment across all powertrain and energy types for 5 consecutive months. And in the second half of last year, the BEV sales actually increased by 350%, while for RIV, it actually decreased by 6%. So we believe that with this trend where BAV is actually growing within the segment, our product launch cadence is also in a perfect match with the micro trend in the industry. This is also where we have the confidence for the continuous growth this year.
那今年我们的3款全新的产品，这个ES9
Yeah.
纯正旗舰
To some extent,
SUV
the current sales numbers decline, like, into the weaker quarters and so on. And with the way the models are being launched, it looks bad sometimes. Like, it raises lots of question marks about the 2026 growth and so on. But I think it's deliberate in many ways, and NIO is following a plan there, as you can hear how Li Bin is explaining that. But maybe more on that in a second, also from my side.
L90现在已经上市 L90和正在热销的全新 ES8， 我们这5款大型 SUV 中大型和这个大型的 SUV 我们就完成了这样的一个在高端的这个大型 SUV 里面的这样一个全面的布局，给我们全年的销量增长就打下了一个非常好的一个基础。
And also, as mentioned, in Q2, actually on April 9th, we are going to host the technological launch event for the NIO ES9, which is our flagship executive SUV, also a technological flagship. And the official launch of the NIO ES9 will be in Q2 this year. And in the meantime, in Q3, we are going to introduce the large 5-seater SUV developed on the same platform as the all-new ES8. And in Q2 this year, for the Onvo brand, we are going to introduce the L80, which is a large 5-seater SUV, together with the L90 as well as the all-new ES8 that are already in the market and also popular among the users. We will be having 5 mid-size and mid to large SUV models to complete our product lineup in the large SUV premium model. And this is also where we believe that it will be the key drivers for our full year growth.
那我们未来的
Thanks everybody for these supportive messages, and Zhao Tangredi, I just saw your comment here as well. Some of you guys I know even in person, so amazing to see the support of this community here for many years covering NIO stock. And just one thing I want to highlight here with the ES9 launch starting in April. I think in April things will pick up industry-wide, but also for NIO. And I'm predicting that they may actually combine this with the not only the presentation of the model, but also of the new battery swapping system and the Gen 5 station. It's just my hunch, what I think might happen, but that's the way I'm reading it, because I think, well, there's many things connected to that. I need more time to explain it, but I think April will be quite interesting in understanding better where the whole market will go in 2026, and for NIO also specifically. I think that's what they have in mind here with Li Bin.
我们还是这个非常有信心。那1到2月是行业的一个淡季，但是我们呢，这个仍然是保持了同比的一个增长。那我们1季度目前给的指引呢，也是同比增长90%以上这个，所以总体来说，全年的这个销量目标我们还是。
Yeah, I agree. We got some interesting insights about the chip business in the report.
For the ET5, ET5T, ES6, and EC6, they are also leading in their respective segments, also with steady demand. For the Onvo L60, it is also the top 3 among the peers in its segment. Very soon, we are also going to introduce upgrades on the L60, and we can really look forward to the refreshes of this product. And worth noting is that for Firefly, it is actually performing pretty well among the high-end small car segment with a very significant market share. And for the full year, we also are having confidence with the sales volume of Firefly, as since after the Spring Festival holiday, we are seeing a rebounding demand for the Firefly models. So for the full year, we do have confidence of achieving a year-over-year volume growth of 40 to 50%. The first 2 months of this year is normally a typical seasonal low for the entire industry, but even against this backdrop, we still achieved a year-over-year growth in our sales volume. And for the Q1 guidance, we also target for a over 90% year-over-year growth. So for the full year, we do have confidence to achieve our volume target.
Thank you. My second question is about my second question is about the autonomous driving. Because I think during the opening remark, really mentioned after the rollout of the world model, the time of AD usage grew 80% month-over-month in February. So we know that what key feedback has been received regarding user experience. Additionally, we noticed several EV peers have or would introduce a more meaningful system model upgrades this year. What would be NIO's key technological highlights and differentiators, especially in the tight level 3, level 4 range? That's my second question. Thank you.
谢谢 Tim。我想评价这个辅助驾驶智能辅助驾驶最好的指标就是用户使用的真实使用的这个时长占这个它的这个整个驾驶的这个时间的比例，这个是在我们认为这是最重要的一个指标。当然另外一个指标就是降低了减少了多少事故我们觉得这是评价这个AD 相关的技术最核心的两个终极的指标。那我们也讲到
Yeah, while Li Bin is talking here, I want to quickly come back to this one comment around chips. So I mentioned in the earnings report that we had this great news around how they're restructuring the chips business as a separate company, and my projection, my estimation is that this will help NIO to sell chips in the future to automotive and non-automotive businesses that NIO would usually compete with, because it's now in a separate structure. So much for that. No other car maker that is producing its chip, there are only a few of them, is actually set up like this. So it's quite unique for NIO already. Plus now they're talking, this analyst question is about AD, like new world model, full self-driving type of stuff, where NIO has really improved, but doesn't get a lot of industry recognition. We now see Xpeng stock hyped up just sometimes on their new model, but for NIO, not so much.
Actually, for us, we believe that there are two key parameters to showcase if the smart driving experience and functionality is the best for our users. The first is the share of the smart driving time among the total driving time for users in the real life driving scenarios. And the second is the number of accidents that are mitigated or avoided under the smart driving functionality. As you've mentioned, from January to February this year, after the rollout of the version, the usage of the smart driving functionality actually increased by more than 80% month over month. And this is based on the new world model version with limited computing investments we made last year. And this year, we are going to actually increase our investments into the computing power resources and also be able to roll out more training sessions for our new world model technology. And we are targeting 2 major releases in Q2 and Q4 this year. Overall speaking, with this new version, we have already verified that our architecture featuring world model and the reinforcement learning is actually capable of achieving good experience. And it also has a lot greater potentials for the continuous capability and functionality upgrades. We also see that the huge amount of data is also helping us with the experience improvement. So overall speaking, we will be having these 2 major releases.
All right, that's interesting. I just highlighted this one. NIO will start more on compute power, whereas that's usually not what they've done in the past, right?
Thank you for taking my question. I come from 2 number one.
I'll come back to this later.
First quarter margin guidance. Based on your volume assumption, what should we be looking at? Because you're actually facing the rising memory cost, maybe some of the raw material. And recently, we may actually launch some of the subsidy for ESA, about 10,000 RMB. So can you provide a first quarter margin guidance? And the second question is more about receivable from related parties, because investors see this number keep increase every single quarter. Can you provide a forecast? What's the trend for this receivable from related parties? It likely came from your battery swap partners. Thank you.
Wow, very difficult to understand.
谢谢王斌。第一个问题关于
Anyways, let me get quickly back while Li Bin is speaking in Chinese about the compute power. So what they said is with the new world model has already improved a lot despite having limited compute capacity. We know that NIO is going very innovative ways of using even the fleet of the idle compute power that's sitting there to help with the compute of the models. However, they usually what you hear more from the US companies is how they're building out compute infrastructure in order to train models, right? This is not the first time that we hear it from NIO. Obviously, they've been more focused on the efficiency part in the past, and you see that replicated everywhere in China with, for example, DeepSeek, where they improved the algorithmics so much that they don't require the same amount like the compute in the US. Meanwhile, obviously, also not having the access to some of the most advanced chips. Now, there is a little bit of a concern if NIO now says they know going to invest more in compute, because obviously that also involves cost. However, we should expect that the outcomes will be also better.
As in Q4 last year. In Q1, there were seasonality factors as well as a policy impact. But overall speaking, we still have ES8 order backlogs. And also since the Spring Festival holidays, we see a pretty good recovery on the order momentum of the ES8 model. So overall speaking, the ES8 model will still be playing a major part in our total deliveries in Q1. So that part is guaranteed. With the product mix largely decided by the high margin products like the ES8, we will also be able to maintain a relatively flat vehicle gross margin in Q1 this year. But as you've also mentioned, there are other external factors, including the rising raw material costs, rising costs for the chip, memory chips, as well as the lithium carbonate for the battery packs. Those impacts are also going to take effect starting Q1. But as they have just get started, the current impact on our Q1 vehicle margin is also limited.
OK， 第二个问题呢，关于我们关联方的应收款。
Okay, not too much specifics in here on the Q1 guidance. Could take it either way, in my opinion, based on what I said. I still think it's going to be a fairly good quarter. But yeah, maybe I'm too bullish on not thinking too much about these cost effects that I just mentioned, like with raw materials and such, which are not doing that well. But here's some interesting insights that the ES8 demand is recovering as well after New Year. So that's already telling you a bit about the trajectory that the market is now also coming around now again. So overall, I would stick to that. That will be a fairly good quarter. Certainly not a profitable one in my views, but still okay.
On the account payable by the affiliated party, it's mainly the account payable by our battery asset management company, Weino. As in the recent months, we are seeing growth in both sales volume of our products as well as the take rate of the battery as a service. We also see increasing account payable by the battery asset management company. But for them, they've been keeping a smooth and also diversified financing channels through debt financing, equity financing, or the bank-backed consumer installment financing. So overall speaking, they've been having a diversified and smooth financing channels. This is also, we believe that we will have a good control and organized control over the account payable by the battery asset management company as well as the payment terms.
好，谢谢王斌。
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Paul Gong with UBS.
Thanks for taking my question. My first question is continuing with the raw material cost inflation. Just now, I think Stanley has mentioned that the pressure is just beginning to be felt in Q1. And I think probably in Q2 that more pressure could be felt. Given NIO is positioned at relatively high end and still have a relatively strong demand and new orders compared to the peers, do you think you can pass at least part of the cost inflation to the downstream to the customers? That is my first question regarding the raw material cost inflation pass-through.
Hi Paul， 对， 接着刚刚讲到这个成本方面的这个提升的这个压力啊，确实今年因为这些一个呢像这个 AI 的这样的一些算力的需求，包括一些地缘政治的这个影响，目前我们看到在这个芯片、大宗材料，包括铜啊，包括碳酸锂，其实都是有一些涨价的这个
While they're
趋
still
势，
talking in
一些既
Chinese,
定的和一些
I think I need to
volatility。
speak more about
那
this
对
maybe
于我们来讲，
in
其
the
实
end
今
by the
年的
Q&A or new
对我
videos
们的这
later on,
个
but that's
成
quite
本
an
和这个
interesting
毛利带来
shift
非常
here
大的这个
happening
压力。
with
当然目前
investing
的
more
整
in
个全
compute
年的
power.
情况
Again,
呢，还
both
是相
negative
对
and
来说
positive
还
aspects,
没有
like the
那么
negative
清晰。
ones
当然
obviously
对我
requires
们
more
来讲
money.
呢，我们还是
Positive,
会
the
跟供应
outcomes
链一
should be
起
better.
看看怎么样能够去
But
持
on
续
the
地
other
提
hand,
升我们的这个供应链的
been
效率，
doing fairly
减
well
少这方
so
面呢
far
对我
with
们的
their
毛利
approach
的
of
一个
not
负面的影
requiring
响。
this. So there's lots of connected to that in my views.
I will follow up on my previous answer. For this year, we do face pressures coming from the vehicle cost structure, and also because of the trend on the AI and computing power, as well as the tensions on the geopolitical side. We do see the rising material costs or the volatilities in the prices regarding memory chips, copper, or lithium carbonate, and all kinds of raw materials. So we do have pressure regarding our cost structure as well as the vehicle margin. But for the full year, so far, we don't have a clear picture regarding the implication of all these volatilities and uncertainties. But in the meantime, we will keep working with our supply chain partners to improve the supply chain efficiency and to mitigate the negative impact of such uncertainties as much as possible.
对，当然如刚刚 William 所介绍啊，我们今年呢还有3款新的这个大车会推出。总体来说呢，我们今年会有5款大的 SUV 在售。那整体呢，大车
Nice. More than 500 people watching now. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hello, America. Waking up. There's another recording earlier this morning, which I made about the earnings report itself. But in the end of this video, in the Q&A, I can also give you a little bit of a summary again about the earnings itself, the numbers, all that we heard about that, and now getting also the additional remarks by the management. Smash a like, become a subscriber, and then you can chat in
And
the
also as introduced by
user
William,
chat.
this year we are going to launch 3 new large models. So together we will be having 5 large SUV models in our lineup, and they will be making major contributions to our sales and the delivery volume. As larger vehicle models normally have higher margin and they are more resilient towards this raw material volatilities and uncertainties. In that case, we do have confidence to try to mitigate or offset the impact brought by the rising raw material costs and try to maintain our vehicle gross margin within a reasonable range for full year this year.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. If I may have my second question, that is regarding the expense. We have seen that the cost control has taken quite some effects, especially from the R&D that has reduced from 3 billion in Q2 into 2 billion in Q4. Given Q4 is traditionally the strong season with the expense, so moving to Q1 and Q2, do you foresee further optimization on the expense side, or do you think that 2 billion per quarter is going to be the new norm?
好的。那26年呢，我们还是会维持在季度20到25
Yeah, this R&D question will come in a lot. Like, as I said, I think there are basically 3 drivers: becoming a much more slim, lean organization, then the model cycle which we're in, and then also the quarterly seasonal effects. Now with the chips investments and new models, there will also be some pressure on R&D at some point again.
Maintaining our R&D investment at the level of around 2 to 2.5 billion RMB per quarter. So for the full year, the R&D expenses will be at the similar level as we spent in 2025. But in the meantime, as now we have the cell business unit mechanism in place, we will use that mechanism to keep improving the R&D efficiency, to eradicate the low efficiency items among our R&D activities, and also to keep improving the return of all the R&D activities.
另一方面呢，我们也会根据26年的一个经营情况，以及基于 ROI 的这样的一个机制，我们来动态的调整我们关于研发的一个节奏和增加相关的投入，来确保我们对关键产品和核心技术的一个投入的强度，推动公司长期竞争力的提升。
And in the meantime, in this year, based on our business performance as well as the overall return on investment analysis, we will keep a dynamic tracking and also management of our R&D expenses to make sure that we can adapt the pace and intensity of our R&D activities based on all these changing factors, so that we don't compromise on the investments into key products and also technologies or the long-term competitiveness of the company.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, like I said,
Thank you
there
very
will be
much.
likely a middle ground in this R&D topic, but
Your next question comes from
it will be
Nicholas.
much leaner going forward. And R&D is not the main topic
Yeah, thank
why
you for
we
taking
got
my
to
question.
profitability.
I'd like to follow up previous question on profit and also cost. Given, William, you talk about very strong volume outlook, for 26. Also, we have a lot of new model coming, higher pricing, higher margin product from second quarter and onward. But at the same time, there's cost inflation pressure kicking in from second quarter as well. So, I mean, putting all this together, can you help us understand how should we think about the profitability, maybe for second half or second quarter, or should we expect NIO can be potentially reach a non-GAAP profit or break even sometime in second half or maybe in second half? And what does that mean for our free cash flow position for the full year? Thanks.
Hi Nick， 对，确实，当然一个销量呢，我们还是维持这个全年40到50的一个增长的一个目标。我们基于今年的这个3款大车，我们还是非常有信心的。那毛利呢，刚刚也提到，就是确实我们也会碰到来自于成本端的压力，但是呢，也看到我们这个大车在毛利率上的一个表现，像 ES8， 我们在4季度的毛利也都是超过20%，接近25%，所以整体的这个大车的毛利还是抗风险的能力还是比较强。所以呢，在2026年全年呢，我们还是依然维持一个全年实现 non-GAAP operating profit 盈利的这样的一个目标。
Thank you for the question. Regarding the sales volume, we still keep on track of the target of achieving 40 to 50% year-over-year growth in our sales volume. As we've introduced this year, we're going to launch 3 large models that give us a confidence in the volume target. And in the meantime, regarding the vehicle gross margin, we do have pressure on the margin and also the vehicle cost structure. But as mentioned, we will be having more large models introduced this year as they will be contributing more significant margin. Like for the ES8 in Q4 last year, its vehicle gross margin was close to 25%. So overall speaking, large models are more resilient towards the price volatilities in the market. With the volume and also the vehicle margin outlook combined, we still have the target of achieving full year non-GAAP operating profit break even in 2026.
Okay, Nick,
yeah, thank you, William. Certainly very exciting to hear that. That's my second question, if it's okay. My second question is really about the Shenji self-designed chip. And after recent successful fundraising $300 million, can you share with us our ADAS chip strategy in the medium term? Aside from supporting internal sales, is it fair to say that Shenji will also try to explore external customer like other OEM or other supplier?
好，谢谢 Nick。对我们，谢谢 Nick。
Okay, that will be an interesting one. I hope Li Bin has lots to say about this part, which I already covered in my first stream around the earnings report, in which they highlighted this one about the way how they are setting up the structure to sell the chip to external parties. But I want to come back again to what has been driving the profitability for NIO. I need to
the first round of
wait a bit.
equity financing, where during the fundraising, it has also received the wide recognitions by the professional institutions as well as the industry institutions, and they all speak highly of the capabilities and R&D of the Shenji company.
What's driving profitability really here is operational profitability, operational leverage. They managed to keep sales and marketing low. Meanwhile, margins have been growing on top. So the R&D reduction is not that they are starving themselves off. This is what I explained before. The models are now out, can be sold. Meanwhile, they don't need to invest everything again. They cut what Li Bin said, where things have been inefficient. Still, they are investing still a lot. And as we've heard today, with investment in chips coming forward, and possibly also investing in battery swap stations at some point again, the next generation one, that will just also still come get some pressure on the R&D side.
And for the ongoing R&D activities of the Shenji company, it will be developing our next generation high performance chips for our products. But in the meantime, they are also planning and exploring mid-end chips that are more approachable by more clients in the industry, including potential partners and clients in robotaxi or embodied AI applications, as we do see a good fit of our products in such areas and industries. Actually, in the meantime, we are already exploring possibilities with some external clients, including some automotive companies who have also shown interest into our chip products.
我们的这个第二颗就是面向更广泛客户的这个也是非常先进制程的芯片呢，已经这个流片成功正在量产的过程中。
Actually, the second chip product from Shenji, which is actually a chip still made of a high-end and advanced processing, but can be used by a broader client base, is already achieved successful tape-out and is also preparing for the mass production.
这颗芯片是非常有竞争力的。
And this is a very competitive chip product.
好的，谢谢。
Oh wow,
谢谢，
this
非
is
常清楚。
totally news. Like nobody has been talking about the next generation Shenji chip, which is now already being taped out. That means it's ready for mass market. And as I said, sounds a little bit different, maybe not just for automotive, maybe a bit more broadly able to be sold to others. Wow.
Our the upcoming new model, which is ES9. So compared with ET9 released last year. So could you elaborate on its new capability enhancements and also how is our pricing position for this new vehicle?
我们ET9呢，它是一个行政旗舰。那么这个我们现在呢，从我们整个产品序列方面来讲，也是我们最这个高端的这样的一个产品那么当我们
Regarding those chips, we don't know where they're manufactured, to be honest. I guess the wafers still come from somewhere, either Taiwan or South Korea, but who knows? But they are not stupid. They know what they're doing, and I guess the aim will be to make this domestic at some point. When China will be there, who knows?
ES9 的话呢，是一个科技行政SUV 的这样一个旗舰，所以它们定位其实是非常显著的差别。
Thank you for the question. NIO ET9 is our executive flagship. It is also the most premium and advanced product in our lineup. Recently, we have also released the Horizon editions for the NIO ET9, and it's well received by the users. And for the ES9, definitely it carries over advanced technologies and also features from the NIO ET9, but it also comes with its unique tech innovation. Positioning and the product type-wise, these two products are quite different. ET9 is an executive sedan, where ES9 is actually a tech flagship as well as a flagship SUV model.
Thank you. My second question is about the energy replacement. methods. So there has been more market discussion recently. So against the on the background of the rapid development of fast charging, could we elaborate on the advantages and also necessity of battery swapping, especially in infrastructure construction, and also as well as our mid and long-term charging and battery swapping construction plans?
对，我们很高兴看到更多的车企去参与这个充换电网络的建设。那么汽车公司去参与这个充换电网络的建设，这个对于推动BEV 的渗透率加快油车和增程和插混向纯电的转化，那是非常有好处的。我们特别高兴看到这样的一个变化，看到这样的一个趋势。
Thank you for the question. Actually, we are happy to see that more automotive companies are participating into the construction of the charging and the swapping network. As more players coming into the joint development of the infrastructure network, it can help accelerate the adoption of a battery electric vehicle, as well as the acceleration of the conversion from the ICE cars, REVs, and PHEVs to the BEV models. So we are happy to see such trends.
那充电和换电呢？它是不矛盾的。其实从未来来说的话，我们也已经建成了超过28000。
I'm muting myself. Yeah, still a big black box here around the battery swapping partnerships. Maybe I packed it all together. ES9 launch, 5th gen battery swap station, plus partnership announcements with the real cars that are able to swap in the new gen, all together. I think that could happen. Not sure, but it would make sense.
But charging and swapping, they are not contradictory. We also have developed more than 28,000 power chargers and destination chargers. We are also one of the most active Chinese car companies in terms of the charging network development. For swapping, home charging, and the supercharging, they come at different benefits and they serve different purposes for users in different use cases and scenarios. And for us, we always offer this holistic solution featuring charging, swapping, and upgradability.
当然我们也近期也看到了这个行业内有些公司在这个充电速度方面的一些进步，那这个当然是非常好的一些技术的发展。当然再快的这个充电在可见的将来，我们认为它的速度和体验呢也是比不上换电的，这个应该说是一个行业里面大家都认可这一点。但换电还有一些它的一些作用是充电所无法去这个承担的去承接的，因为换电它能够系统性的去解决车和电池的寿命不同的这样的一个问题。因为中国现在这个行业内的这个电动车的这样一个电池的质保标准呢，都是8年16万公里70%的健康度那以前呢，因为这个运营车辆它的使用时间都比较短但私家车的话呢，其实车的话呢都是15年，有的甚至更长的这样一个使用的寿命。所以车和电池如果是去耦合的话，那么这个在8年后、9年后、10年后，这个会是比较大的这样一个问题吧。所以我们一直觉得换电是解决车和电池不同寿的这样的一个系统性的这样一个方案。
And also we see some industry peers, they have announced advanced technologies in terms of the charging and the charging speed. We are also happy to see such technological innovation and development. But in the foreseeable future, no matter how fast the charging becomes, it will never outperform the speed or the experience of a power swapping. And also there are additional benefits brought by the swapping that charging will never offer. We believe that swapping is also a systematic solution to solve the problems regarding the mismatched life cycles between the vehicles and the batteries. In the Chinese automotive industry, the warranty period for the battery pack is normally 8 years, 160,000 kilometers, or at 70% state of health after use. For the vehicles for the business and commercial purposes, normally their duration is shorter, but for the private sectors, the vehicle can be used for up to 15 years. In that case, the battery life cycle is significantly shorter than that of the vehicles. But if the battery and the vehicles are tightly coupled with each other, after 9 or 10 years, this mismatched life cycle will become a major problem for the users and industries. And for that, we believe that power swap enables a flexible solution or innovative solution to solve the mismatched life cycles between vehicles and batteries.
那在我们未来的换电体系下，那么结合长寿命的电池设计那么充放电的策略。
Let's see if I get enough time to speak about this. I guess I won't. But I think there's lots more going on between CATL and NIO that we actually are aware of. I think they're going a bit hand in hand. Note that CATL is with chocolate in a different segment, so it's not water cooled, it's not high performance. And I do think we will see the NIO partnerships coming live as well. So I think generally, if a big player like CATL is bullish on battery swapping, that's good for us.
Together with our long life battery, our charging and discharging strategy, as well as our life cycle monitoring and also inspections on the battery health, all these measures come as a very systematic and holistic operational approach for us to keep monitoring the safety of the battery and also maximize the longevity of our battery product. And this requires systematic thinking and systematic design. So it's more than a matter of the charging or swapping speed. It actually provides the industry a systematic solution.
那另外我想强调一点，换电呢，它是一个分布式的一个储能的设施。大家都知道，中国现在新能源发电呢。
So just talking a bit about the future of CATL and NIO, this could lead really to standards being formed and adopted by different players where there cannot be just one player taking the entire market. So there needs to be some natural progression towards that goal ultimately. But it's confirming that another big party is seeing a business in there. It's validating the tech. It's validating the business model, most importantly. And NIO has some very strong assets in this regard. So for me, it's more interesting going forward how they time that, the advantages around battery swapping, around their new product releases and launches, especially in this year. So that's why I'm making those predictions about this joint launch between the Gen 5 station and ES9 possibly. And yeah, because I mean, Li Bin and NIO, they're not dumb. They see what's going on. You hear them talking about BYD and the megawatt charging and so on. And nobody else has the infrastructure as NIO. That's a fact. And there's no Huawei or Xiaomi which are directly competing with NIO models who have this.
And also for the power swap system, it is also a distributed energy storage system. As with renewable energy and green electricity generation, the storage and consumption of such renewable energy is a big challenge. This is also why the Chinese government is now building up the new power system to be able to digest all this green energy. And the power swap station is also a type of a new power system, as it can help with the energy storage, energy consumption, as well as the interaction with the power grid. In that case, we do see opportunities as well as the value on the business side brought by our power swap system. And also different from the supercharging requiring energy storage, we actually only need to charge and discharge the battery once, which can help to reduce the secondary energy loss. That can contribute to a efficiency improvement or benefit of around 6%. So economic-wise, power swap is also more efficient and viable. And for the charging, for the swapping network, now so far in China, we already have installed more than 3,800 power swap stations. If every station comes with a full battery pack installment, it will be a total energy storage volume of around 6 to 7 gigawatt hour, which is already pretty sizable from the energy storage perspective.
是总的来说呢，换电网络呢，持续布局，它是在给这个我们的用户更好的体验的同时，它也是我们长期这个非常核心的一个重要的这样一个业务啊。
Seems like Li Bin is getting a bit more clearer now with communicating the benefits of battery swapping also to investors.
So overall speaking,
Good stuff.
Power Swap not only provides better charging or recharging experience for our users, for the long term, it is also helping with our business development and also success. So this is also bringing us a long-term business success, and it's highly defensive.
It's more about what this new station can do and
Your
how
next
they are
question
planning to
comes
building
from
it out, in
Chen
my
Zheng
opinion,
with Bank of
and
America.
how that will impact finances, of course.
Hello, William. I've got two questions. So my first question is related to the chip business. So I think previously you already mentioned that the second chip will be more powerful, more competitive compared to your first chip. So could you give a little bit guidance on this chip? So in the future, will you only focus on autonomous driving and humanoid robot for the chips in the future, or you will also develop the smart cabin used chip? And also, I think you save a lot of cost because you start to adopt your chip. So could you give some guidance about the vehicle model coverage for your chip? Then how much percent the cost can be saved? Thank you.
Yeah, these implications of the chips business are not really clear in NIO's investment thesis yet. I guess now we are only arriving at a point where it's officially structured in the way it is for going forward. And meanwhile, we've got these tech breakthroughs talking and possibly the customers coming, and then going not only in automotive but also robotics and everything else. So maybe that all leads us a little bit to why Li Bin is also going to announce this CEO incentive structure, that he's vesting new shares in case he meets the milestones like certain market caps and net profits. Maybe he sees something here that the rest doesn't see yet in NIO.
所以当然现在哪些车型在使用，这个我们还别的客户的我们还不太方便透露信息，但是确实我们这个芯片有不少的这个行业的这个客户啊都非常有兴趣啊，也已经在进行这个前期的这样的一些这个测试和接触。
Thank you for the question. So the second chip product from Shenji will also be a 5-nanometer automotive grade chip, but it comes with a more competitive and efficient cost structure. Performance-wise, it will be on par with 3 Orin X. Cost-wise, it will also be more approachable and efficient than our first generation Shenji 9031 chip. So in terms of the utilization, it can be used for autonomous driving, smart driving, as well as all the AI applications and embodied AI. In terms of the average chip product, we will not do the training chip, but focusing more on the on-device inference chip, and our chip product will be also qualified to be as a on-device inference chip, and also it has a lot more potentials to be applied across different scenarios and products. In terms of which vehicle models will be equipped with our second chip product, so far we cannot disclose such information, especially if it's related to our external clients, but we do have some industry peers and also clients showing strong interest into this chip product.
Well, what can I say more?
And my second question is related to your service business. So in 4Q, your service revenue gross margin reached 11.9%. Is it mainly because the utilization of your swap station continue to increase? And looking into 2026, do you expect the gross margin of the service business will continue to improve because based on your projection? Thank you.
Hi, Mei. 关于这个第二个问题，确实其他业务呢是代表我们公司的一个服务和社区相关的收入。那在2025年呢，随着我们保有用户的这个提升，以及我们效率的不断的这个提升，那整体的全年的 收入呢实际上是超过了100亿人民币，也占到我们整体收入一个相当大的。
Yeah, regarding the grid stabilization potential, what I just pointed out here now, we've got the new China 5-year plan upcoming. I expect lots of stuff regarding energy storage and grid stabilization, those type of business models that NIO's in. In Germany, by the way, this might be very profitable already for NIO stations because we've got such a high arbitrages that can be traded. So China, at some point, China will always be different as a market, but it also will be the biggest market for NIO. And the way how close NIO is at reading the market always and where the government is headed should give them some head start and advantages in positioning within that. That's kind of my reading on those things. And I've always said that this is the inherent potential of battery swapping. Now we have it. 6 to 7 gigawatt hour energy storage.
Regarding the revenues from other sales, it's mainly our service revenues as well as the revenues from community-related businesses. And in 2025, as our user base grow and the operational efficiency grow, we have also achieved the growth in our other sales revenue, more than 10 billion RMB last year, which is also a growing part in our total revenue. And for this year, as we continue to grow our user base, we also are expecting the growth in our other sales revenue, and also it will continue to make positive contribution to the group level gross margin. And regarding the charging and the swapping business, as we will continue to develop and deploy our infrastructure network, especially our power swap network, at the pace of around 1,000 new stations every year. With all this upfront investment in the infrastructure, for the near term, we will still see operational losses on the charging and the swapping network side. But the profit from other sales can basically cover the losses on the power and on the power side. So this the overall business development will be actually conducted in a controlled pace.
对，我想补充一下，就是我们2025年呢，这个服务和社区业务是实现的盈利啊。我们预计26年这个在服务与社区业务上的盈利能力还是会持续提升的。这个即使在我们增加1000座换电站投入的前提下，我们也应该可以实现这个目标。
And also, I would like to add a comment here. In 2025, we have achieved the profitability on our other sales, mainly our services and community-related businesses. And in 2026, we also believe that we will continue to enhance the profitability of this part, even against the precondition that we are going to install 1,000 new power swap stations this year. We will still target to achieve improved profitability for this part of the business.
Thank you, Ming.
Oh, wow, that's actually a big enhancement.
Your next question comes from Yuken Ding with HSBC.
Yeah, thank you, team. I have two questions. The first is to follow up on the OPEX optimization. We talked about R&D guidance before. Could we share more color in terms of the SGNA? So fourth quarter, we hit SGNA absolute value at 3.5 billion. So can we extrapolate to understand that's the baseline? If we multiply by 4, that's the baseline or range we can understand 2026.
嗨，以前，26年呢，25年4季度确实随着整个销量和销售收入的提升啊，整个 SGNA 也进入到一个
So again,
相对合理的区间。
profitability this time was mainly driven by higher average sales prices combined with good margins. The margins have improved, not as much as I think they could have. They could be better even. So there's still more potential. Plus, more lean organization. Most importantly, SGNA staying where it is while sales keep going up. So that's leveraging effects. That's really great. That's exactly what you want to see. This number has been cut by more than a half or almost a third on a weekly basis. And plus on top of that, R&D cost greatly improved. There will be swings around R&D costs in the future. NIO is not starving itself in that part, but that's where profitability is coming from, all of these effects.
Thank you for the questions. In Q4 2025, as we have see growth both in sales volume as well as sales revenue, the percentage of SGNA to the sales revenue has also fall into a reasonable range. But that is also driven by our CBU mechanism as well as the continuous efforts in the organizational efficiency improvement. And also it's partially because that in Q4 we didn't introduce or launch any new models, so we didn't have much expenses on the marketing and relevant activities and events. And for 2026, we will also continue our CBU efforts to make sure that our SGNA expenses are of the highest efficiency and good return. The absolute amount of the SGNA expenses this year will be growing, but proportionally to our sales revenue increase, we would like to control that to be within 10% of our sales revenue.
Okay, Yuqian.
Got it. Thank you, Stanley. The second question is to ask about the volume and margin breakdown by brand. We talked about our volume target, and we also talked about the reasonable margin. So could you help us to understand between like 3 portfolio brand or between the core 5 big SUV portfolio versus rest? Just give us a bit of a sense to understand the dynamics between the brand, or how do we cluster our volume mix so that can support sustainable margin expansion?
对，关于这个销量和这个
Yeah, this analyst is really technical or financial in this regard, going very deep. Not sure if that's super helpful, to be honest. At some point, maybe NIO should just also do a business case and publish it, because that's essentially what the analysts are asking here for, to get that sort of detail. What's a bit lost here, I think, in these discussions is a bit the bigger picture, like where things are going and what NIO can do when they are a profitable company as they are now, or in a better financial position. So yeah, we hear some of that stuff, I think, today with the chips talk stuff, and also where they like to be on the NIO world model front and those type of new innovation initiatives, which we had also the interesting news that they're now investing more in compute. The way this is going to unfold, if they could make that more clear, additionally to how they're now talking a bit more clearly about battery swapping, I think that would really help make the case for expansion of the multiples, of the valuation multiples, because currently we just trade 1x sales, which is ridiculous. But yes, I know there are so many question marks around the companies, but now they're basically cutting out those question marks around the company bit by bit, and now we could hopefully start looking more out into the future. That would be great.
Thank you for the question. Regarding the sales volume and the vehicle gross margin breakdown, as we've mentioned, the market will be still highly dynamic in 2026. So at the moment, it will be very difficult for us to give a specific or precise breakdown on the volume or margin contribution by model. But to give you some high-level information, for the 5 large SUV models that we've mentioned, they will be playing a major role in our sales volume. That's one. And secondly, for the Firefly, since after the Spring Festival holidays, we also see a quick rebound of its volume and order momentum back to the stable level as it had last year. So this will also be another indicator regarding the volume driver. And regarding the vehicle gross margin, as we've mentioned, for all 3 brands, they will be under cost pressure due to the external volatility reasons. But in the meantime, we will still keep improving the vehicle gross margin across all 3 brands. At the moment, we cannot give you a specific margin outlook or assumption for each brand, but put that against a longer time spectrum, we always target to achieve 20 to 25% vehicle gross margin for the NIO brand, above 15% vehicle gross margin for the Onvo brand, and above 10% vehicle gross margin for the Firefly brand. So that is our margin target for all 3 brands against a longer time spectrum, and it has also been our internal target.
当然，我还想补充的一点就是，从2025年开始呢，我们内部的管理也从单一的追求销量，转变到
Maybe just a quick word on battery swapping and profitability. So it's all under other services. So the whole other services segment is profitable right now for NIO. But if you just look at on the metrics of the usage of battery swap stations and the build out, it cannot be profitable right now. That will come at a later stage of the whole segment, but still, because they earn through other stuff in the other segments, in total, this other services is profitable, including then battery swapping or the net contribution that it has in this segment.
And in addition to that, our management mindset has also made a switch since last year, where before it was purely sales volume driven, but now we are trying to find the optimal balance between sales volume, vehicle gross margin, and the overall business performance. This is also driven by our CBU mechanism. As for each vehicle model, we have established a dedicated vehicle strategy team that will be taking the overarching responsibilities for the vehicle's business performance, finding balance between the margin and also the volume of the product. That is a major change we have made since last year when we had the CBU in place. This is also reflected in our business performance improvement from Q4 to Q1 this year.
It's interesting that so far they don't ask about these cycles of the models, like these sales peaks and then how it's declining and how that is going to be managed. I would love to hear Libin talking about this.
Thank you again for joining us today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact NIO's IR team through the contact information.
Oh, wow. We finished the call so early. Just 1.5 hours in.
Thank you.
But yeah, wow. Okay, some questions haven't been asked. Just like I said, would have been nice if they have a couple of words about this whole timing of model launches in 2026. I feel like this will be quite some important thing in the way how they can ramp up not only production but also the demand, and then hopefully work with the declines that are coming later on, that they already have the next model, and kind of for the model that has seen its peak sales, that this will be still managed in a way that it's contributing sustainably into the whole model mix. And that was not a topic in the core today, to my surprise. So yeah, overall, still, what can I say? It's been a very, very good quarter for NIO, and I think what we've heard both in the call and what we've read in the report really supports that. There was this time not much negative at all. Really nothing where I would highlight it and say, look, this is a problem. So the only thing that persists for now as a negative is the uncertainty, the outlook. And I think that's kind of what you always have in investment, because you don't know whether or not the market will behave the way you anticipate it in the future. But yeah, what I like to say about this, again, repeating myself here, that I do think from April forward, and by the end of April especially, things will become more clear also to investors, like what is the intention here by NIO in terms of timing and the way how they want to achieve those targets. I have to say I might be a bit more conservative on 2026 when it comes to full year profitability and also meeting really high growth figures, like let's say a 50% year-over-year growth. I mean, that's very, very, very ambitious in the current market. But I'm not concerned given how healthy the underlying structure looks right now. I mean, mainly how they managed to cut the cost and how they are becoming really good at selling despite having lower marketing expenses. So this operational leverage that I talked about. So that's really good. Plus now we got some extremely bullish signals with the CEO focusing more on even market cap targets. Meaning, what does he have in mind? Maybe he sees a way how he can not only grow the company and make it financially profitable and that sort of thing, but also why NIO at some point may actually be perceived not only as a a pure car company anymore, and as a going concern company. So if the multiple expansion is coming and it brings it to maybe up to a 10x, like he's having one of those tranches, like a 120 billion market cap, that would be, frankly, of course, a very, very exciting future that we're all betting on. And I think we now get even, in a sense, some buying by Li Bin here in the management and having it official, which in turn I hope can get back some confidence and future outlook by institutions that have been sidelined for various reasons. Maybe part of it being due to the fact that, yes, the EV market or automotive market has not been that attractive as compared to AI, but now we learn of all of the NIO AI ambitions, chips ambitions, world model ambitions, and that sort of things, which clearly are not being given a lot of goodwill in NIO's valuation here as of now. So, those things still need to come together. And a part of that is institutions need to be coming back into that space. For that, we also need some good US-China relations, which I think will happen after Trump-Xi meeting. And so another catalyst in April, in my opinion. What's the short thesis here? Well, still not profitable on the full year, still question marks about a very competitive environment, still, they may say some of these costs have been artificially low in this quarter. I would tend to disagree. I think it's more substantial and structural and will be this way going forward as well. And so, well, to some certain degree, I think it will level out, okay? So, yeah, what's remaining the short thesis here? They can just hope that we will get more mess in the world with that we see in the Middle East and all of that. But in the end, Chinese stocks have retreated 30 to 50% on average. Right now, in this current leg, in this current downturn that we're in, I believe we're about to see a next leg up again, because as I argued in other videos, I do think we are entering a slow, structured, managed bull market by China. We see the buyings, the stock flows between the stock connects coming in very substantially, by the way, also in the beginning of this week. So I do feel that we are entering a new territory here, both for the company as well as for Chinese stocks. And it does have quite a bit of a upside potential when you think about how the multiples are compressed and how much of a risk premium we are paying right now for Chinese stocks and for NIO in general. We had, of course, the COVID years in which the pendulum was swinging totally into the other way, right? Where everything was hyped up and maybe the company was not there where it's now, definitely not in terms of sales. And capital was looking to get into risk assets. We certainly are in a complete opposite right now. But again, that's where we may find some middle ground in the future. So this call has been good. Not all of the questions have been asked that I thought we might want to see some answers here, but in all, some very insightful revelations this time. And again, thank you guys for some of your support here. Soyan, I'm not sure if you're announcing your name correctly, and many others who've helped me here pushing the like buttons. That's our currency, sharing it with financial support, or maybe just becoming a subscriber, maybe just becoming a member here. That's what's keeping me doing these videos after all of these years. And again, you find a link in the comment section. The Patreon membership is open. Again, I'll have more Patreon only content in there and daily live chat as well. So lots of things to look forward to. Now for NIO, again, after this call, my bottom line is that I think we're off to a better start than anticipated, both on what we can report now about Q4, but also what might be Q1 in the books for us. Then once things clear out, I think people could become slowly more bullish by the end of the year, but obviously it will be really challenging to also to meet these goals and to time it nicely. But NIO has become much, much better with these product launches, and there's only one way in looking at things. Either you believe it and you're bullish, or you don't believe it after all of your due diligence. That's what I hope I can help with providing those perspectives on my side, from my side. And so, yeah, that's been it. Thanks for tuning in. Almost 2 hours. I'm gonna hit the end live stream button here in a second. Thanks for tuning in. It was a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment in the comment section, and see you in my next videos. Lots of topics to pick up from here. Thanks for watching.